So much business advice is about telling business owners like you to start something new. As a small business owner myself, that frustrates me because you know what that means? It means more time and more energy and often more money to recreate something from scratch. And I've got a busy business, as do you, and that's hard, and that causes me to feel overwhelmed. I built a multi-million-dollar business from scratch. I bought several businesses, and I recently sold my business for a very high multiple. And there's something I learned over the years that has helped me tremendously, and I want to share the secret to you so that you can achieve success in a fraction of the time that it took me. And it's basically not about starting new things, but about knowing what to stop doing. It powerfully transformed how I thought about my business, how I served my customers, and why more people wanted to work with me as the business owner. And so here's what I've titled this: 10 fatal mistakes business owners make and how you can avoid them. I'm going to share these mistakes with you so that you can avoid making the same mistakes that I did and the pain it caused me, but it did allow me to learn valuable lessons. And some of them I'm going to share were actually done to me as the customer, where the business owner made these mistakes with me. And at first I was very upset about it, but then I learned to view it as a lesson. Now, funny side note for you. Recently I've been more observant about customer service and how I'm treated as a client or customer with whatever professional or business I'm working with and spending my dollars. And at first it would irritate me when I would not get treated how I would treat the customer myself. But then I began to realize this is great content. I can share these fatal mistakes I'm actually seeing right now as I spend my hard-earned dollars, and I want to give these tools to you so that you can grow your business, especially as we exit what I believe is this recessionary time. There's no greater time, no greater moment for success-minded, innovative entrepreneurs and business owners like you to grow your business. If not, it's just not right. All right, number one fatal mistake: raising your fees without telling your customers. Raising your fees without telling your customers. This actually happened to me very recently. So a professional that I work with, an attorney here in the US, actually surprisingly raised their fees on me and didn't tell me. And it went from $500 an hour to $550 an hour, which I thought was a pretty big increase. That's 10% when the economy was pretty soft. So I called the attorney and I said, hey, what happened? He said, well, Derek, in the contract you signed, we reserve the right to raise your fees anytime. And we haven't raised the fees in a couple years. We thought this would be a good time to do it. Well, I was shocked. Now, granted, had I signed the contract? Yes. Did he have the right to raise the fee based on the contract? Yes. But it made me feel like I was taken advantage of, like somebody slipped one by me without telling me. And what I would tell you, and here's what I told him, I said, I don't mind paying a higher fee. You just need to tell me. I need to be part of this discussion, because if he would have said to me, hey, Derek, the law firm has not raised their fees in 2 years. We have higher costs going on. We value you as a client. We love working with you. In 60 days, we're going to be raising fees. I wanted to give you a heads up on that, personally let you know so that you weren't caught by surprise. Well, if that discussion had happened, I would have had no issue at all with it, and you probably wouldn't have either. The problem was I ended up dropping that law firm for another issue a month or so later, but it was $50 that planted doubt and anger and really resentment in me as a customer and a client toward this law firm. So don't raise your fees and don't tell your customers about it. It's the worst way to do business. All right, mistake number 2 is blaming your customer for a mistake that you made. Blaming the customer for a mistake that you made. Now, I want to tell you an example. I sold my financial planning practice about 2 years ago. And I would always tell every new client that came in the door that wanted to work with my team and I would tell them, you need to know I am not perfect. You can ask my wife, she will verify that. And they would laugh and chuckle. And I would say, but what we want to do is we want to provide as perfect communication with you and as perfect a relationship. And what that meant was we were defining what could go wrong ahead of time. And I would tell them, there's so much paperwork. There's many things that occur as we manage your money and help plan your future and provide the best possible care for you. A mistake can get made. And so if you ever notice something, call me right away and we will correct it immediately. Well, here's what I've done in that conversation. I've set expectations that a mistake could occur. We're not perfect. So many professionals want to give this air of we're perfect and nothing could ever go wrong. And then when they do, they don't own up to it. So when you make a mistake, I like to call it falling on the sword, okay? For example, I had a large team, and oftentimes if a mistake got made, it wasn't me that directly made the mistake, it was one of my team members that made it. But I and my team are one, that's why we're a team. So I would then say, I am sorry, I take full responsibility for that. And then we figure out what happened, and then listen closely and intently. You want to make sure as they are complaining to you and telling them the concern that they feel like they are the one person in your universe in that moment. Because if they feel brushed off, pushed off, not listened to, that will deteriorate the relationship. Here's what I find. In moments where a mistake gets made, if you take responsibility for it and actually tell the client, I feel terrible about this, and let them know that you feel worse about what happened than they do, it will endear them to you in a longer lasting, deeper relationship. It's so funny now with a client, I might joke about something that happened and they say, oh yeah, Derek, but you took such good care of that situation. We wanted to keep working with you. So the bottom line is it's not a transaction, it's a relationship. And owning what happens is the key, especially if you're in a personal services business, okay? Don't run from mistakes, don't run from errors, run toward them, and better yet, if you find one, bring it to the customer and the client before they bring it to you. It goes a whole lot better. If you try to think they'll never catch it, they'll never find out, they always will, and it's always worse than if you had brought it to them first.